What's up, everybody? Welcome back to DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel. Special guest today, Scott Kaplan of ESPN LA, Kaplan and Crew as well, here to talk Dodgers and Padres. Scott, thanks for hopping on. It's a fun time to be in the middle of this Dodgers-Padres stuff.
Well, that depends, I suppose. It was fun last week if you were a Dodger fan. I don't know how fun it'll be by the end of this weekend when the Padres and the Dodgers play round two. But I mean, I will just tell you this, and I say this all the time on my podcast. The Padres showed up last week like frauds. They were playing their best baseball. The Dodgers were playing their worst baseball. And you thought if you were the Padres, you had a chance to go into Dodger Stadium and make a statement. And they came out of there. The only statement that was made was by the Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, I see you've got San Diego bobbleheads all over your desk there. And then there's an Ohtani and a Kobe Bryant one in there. So how does that all fit on one desk?
So the San Diego guys are my man Dick Enberg, the legend, Junior Seau, my horse trainer Doug O'Neill. This is Mark Loretta, who's one of my favorite former Padres, played for the Dodgers for a little while as well. Bill Walton, the legend, and Brian Dutcher, the coach of the San Diego State basketball team. But at ESPN LA, we have a lot of fans who hate the fact that I have these San Diego roots and I'm on the radio in LA and I'm not some Dodger cheerleader. And I have one guy in particular who is a Dodger season ticket holder. And he said, if I get you the Ohtani bobblehead, this was the 50-50 bobblehead. And if I get you the Kobe bobblehead, which is the one I really, really wanted, he said, you have to display them on your desk to piss off all your San Diego viewers. So here they are.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's dive into this series. We are recording this the day before it'll go live. Currently, the Dodgers are up 7-1. So it appears that they're going to have at least a one-game lead. Padres and Giants currently tied. Scott, there's 34 games to go when this series starts. And this is the last 3 times these two teams will see each other. What are the vibes like in San? I know what the vibes were like a week ago. What are the vibes like today in San Diego?
Well, I think that there is still a level of excitement, and there's also a level of understanding that these upcoming games this weekend are they're just 3 games.
Yeah.
They're not the end all be all of the season, but the way a lot of fans are looking at it is, well, regardless of what happens against the Dodgers, there's still 30 some odd games to be played. Yeah. And the Dodgers have the easiest schedule remaining in baseball, and the Padres have the second easiest schedule. So how much do these head-to-head games really matter, considering that the Dodgers are going to win the season series and that they would hold all the tiebreakers? I look at it a little differently. I know my partners on the podcast feel like, oh, it's just one series. I disagree. Yeah. See, to me, the Padres have to use the Dodgers as their measuring stick. Mm-hmm. The Dodgers are the best team in the division for the last 12 to 15 years. The Padres look to the Dodgers and they measure themselves against the Dodgers. And if you can't beat the Dodgers in the regular season, if you're getting swept, if the Dodgers come to San Diego this weekend and the Padres don't win this series, or they wind up getting swept again, how could you look at the season and say, well, there's something that's going to happen in the postseason? We're good enough to make things happen in the postseason when you can't even compete essentially with Big Brother.
Yeah. Well, and that was going to be my question is, like, the Padres came into that last one. It's so fascinating baseball, how like much of a difference a week makes, because the Dodgers had gotten swept by the Angels. Mm-hmm. The Padres had won like 1 million in a row, it felt like. And you had the Dodgers fan base saying, oh my gosh, we're going to lose the division. We're going to lose to the Padres. It's all over. And you had Padres fans, at least the ones in my mentions, that were like riding high, like, yeah, watch what happens this week. And now we fast forward a week and the roles are completely reversed. And so you kind of hinted at it, but what are the Padres fans kind of holding on to believe right now that this team is going to be different than the ones from the last couple of seasons?
It's a really good question. And believe it or not, there's actually, I think, an answer for it.
Okay.
Which is, at the trade deadline, the Padres had a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah.
They desperately needed a DH. They needed somebody who could play a consistent, good defensive first base. They needed a left fielder desperately because, they had, pretty good left fielder last year who left and went down to Atlanta and then got popped for steroids, which, oh, by the way, a lot of people look at Jurickson Profar and they go, well, he was tight with Tatis, and Tatis's power numbers are way down there. People are trying to put 2 and 2 together there. And the Padres needed a catcher, and they needed more help in their pitching staff, both starting and relief pitching. And they filled every hole at the trade deadline. And what was kind of strange was they got a guy named Ryan O'Hearn from Baltimore who was having the best year of his career, who started in the All-Star game for the American League, and my man couldn't get off the bench.
Yeah.
The media started saying to Mike Schilt, the Padres manager, why is O'Hearn not getting at bats? And Schilt started to get real testy with the media. Hey, he's an everyday player. I don't know what you guys want me to do. Well, how about not just bring him in for an at-bat in the 7th inning?
Yeah.
And what happened last night was O'Hearn got the first RBI of the game. Then he hit a home run to center field, which is like the second one in 2 nights. And O'Hearn is showing Mike Schilt he needs to play every day, whether he's the DH, plays first base, or maybe they even find a place to put him in the outfield, depending on what their injury status is. Because, right now, Jackson Merrill, their center fielder's out a little bit. Ryan O'Hearn is a guy that has to play. And just thinking about last night, Gavin Sheets hit 2 home runs. Now, again, today's Friday. The series is coming up. Or today's Thursday, rather. Gavin Sheets hit 2 home runs. So when you have Sheets and you have O'Hearn both in the lineup, you've significantly increased the power. And I think that's what Padre fans are holding on to, is that the roster has the right pieces. It just requires the manager to play the right pieces.
Yeah, it is interesting when I look at this matchup, Scott, because it's 2 teams that are arriving here in very different ways. Like you just mentioned, I mean, the Padres, their bullpen is probably the strongest part of the team. It's an unbelievable group that you don't want to be trailing to in like the 6th or 7th inning. And they went and filled every hole that they had at the trade deadline. The Dodgers, on the other hand, are basically betting on 4 or 5 starting pitchers they hope are going to dominate you, a lineup that's going to be good enough. And they basically did nothing at the trade deadline. They solved none of their needs. And so it's almost like 2 very different approaches to winning in Major League Baseball. And I understand why Padres fans would come into that feeling better, thinking like, hey, we went and made the moves. But it's so fascinating. I'm just intrigued to see kind of how these 2 rosters take shape over the next few weeks and couple of months.
And what was really amazing to me was last week when the Dodgers swept the Padres. And you mentioned it, the Dodgers were coming off the sweep at the hands of the Angels. And I'll say the lowly Angels, I mean, they're not the Colorado Rockies lowly, but then again, we've already seen that the Dodgers at best would split with the Rockies.
Yeah.
The Angels played like it was the World Series. In fact, I was actually driving in my car listening to the game. This was game 3 of the series. And it sounded in the 9th inning like the Angels were calling game 7 of the World Series. The Dodgers, and this is Dave Roberts, and I've known Dave for 25 years. He doesn't live too far from me. We've been friends for a long time. Dave believes in guys, and so when you look at that series last week, think about it. Teoscar Hernandez had a big series. Michael Conforto actually had a significant series. Mookie Betts, who has come out of it but has been struggling for the most part of the season, hit a game, what turned out to be a game-winning home run. And the bullpen, which is what the Padres were banking on, hey, get past Clayton Kershaw, get to the bullpen, get past Blake Snell, get to the bullpen. Every time the bullpen came out, this underperforming LA bullpen actually did everything they wanted to do. Yeah. So for the Padres, all their stars, Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis, Jackson Merrill, to a lesser degree, Xander Bogaerts, Jay Cronenworth, those guys didn't perform.
Yeah.
And the bullpen of LA did.
Yeah. And that's what's interesting is I think the case we've been making for the Dodgers on our show is not, hey, the bullpen is going to like snap their fingers and be miraculously better. Although there are rumors that Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates could be back for the weekend series against the Padres. We'll see. Dave Roberts said they might not be making another rehab start, which would be a game changer. But the whole argument for the Dodgers pen has been, can the starting rotation get deep enough into games where this group is not just pounding their head against the pavement? And that's been the difference. The Dodgers have been averaging 6 innings per start for starting pitchers, which you've been around long enough to know that's not like the most impressive number in baseball history. But in 2025, it's pretty darn good.
It is. And I had been saying on the airwaves of 710 since the early part of the year that I thought Clayton Kershaw would come back and be an important part of this Dodger pitching staff. And a lot of people doubted that, because his age, his injury history, et cetera. And Clayton Kershaw has come back and been critical. Yeah. I did question whether or not Blake Snell would make it back. And then if he did, what would he be? And Blake Snell has come back. Tyler Glasnow has come back from injury and has been really, really good. And now you've got Ohtani, and I grant you that, the start in Colorado was ugly and the numbers were bad. And then he took that line drive off of his leg. And Yamamoto went pretty deep. I mean, this was, I want to say, game 2 of the Colorado series where Yamamoto pitched into the 7th inning and had over 100 pitches. So the Dodgers are getting a lot out of this starting pitching staff.
Totally. And speaking of that, the matchups this weekend, Blake Snell versus Yu Darvish on Friday, Glasnow versus Nestor Cortez on Saturday, and then Yamamoto versus Pivetta on Sunday. From a Dodgers point of view, Scott, I look at those first 2 matchups, Snell versus Darvish and Glasnow versus Cortez. And again, I hate to call anything that's this far away from the postseason a must win, but those 2 games, the Dodgers need to have a lead in the 6th inning of those 2 games if they're going to have any chance. Pivetta has been incredible.
Yes,
Yamamoto's been a little bit more up and down in the second half, but from a Dodgers perspective, just looking at the rotation, Scott, I like the way that this series is going to shape out.
Oh, I would as well. I mean, if I were on the Dodgers side of things here, I'd say Blake Snell, advantage to Blake Snell. He knows this Padre lineup. He knows this ballpark. He knows this fan base. I mean, Blake Snell won a Cy Young Award for the Padres 2 years ago in what was really a terrible season. Yu Darvish has not come back to the level that fans had expected or had hoped for. And by the way, he's 39 years old. It's not like, Yu Darvish is actually older than Kershaw. Glasnow has been really, really good. And Cortez was one of those trade deadline pickups. And, you look at him and you go, well, he was in the World Series pitching for the Yankees last year against the Dodgers. And, that's kind of a nice little check mark on his resume, but he hasn't been good so far. And Yamamoto, to your point, has been up and down. But on the other hand, Pivetta, that's the only matchup of the 3 where the advantage actually goes to the Padres because Pivetta has essentially been their ace.
Yeah, and Cortez pitched for the Yankees in the World Series. He also gave up the home run to Freddie Freeman. So he didn't just leave that. He leaves that part off the resume.
Yeah, right. No, he was in pinstripes. He was wearing a New York uniform, and he did pitch, but it wasn't good.
It wasn't great. I'm curious as I look. I mean, one thing that's so fun about Dodgers Padres when it's in Dodger Stadium is you don't even have to listen to the announcers to tell who is up because Machado comes up and the boos just come out.
Right.
Tatis, same thing. Like in San Diego, who on this Dodgers team that's going to pitch or hit do you think is like the most hated guy? Is it one of the former Padres like Snell? Is it Freddie Freeman, Ohtani, Betts, someone in that group?
I would say Ohtani would be the number 1 guy for a variety of reasons. The first of which is, if you remember, when Ohtani first went to the Angels, there was a lot of flirtation with the Padres. And the Padres made it seem like they were deep into the race for Ohtani. And I never believed it, not for a second. But the first part of it is Ohtani flirted with the Padres. The second part of it is obviously he's the best player. He's got the most home runs. He's the most visible guy in all of Major League Baseball. So I would say Ohtani is number 1. It's always funny because back in the old days, when Adrian Gonzalez used to come back, I would go to these games and people would be like, yay, Adrian, you're from San Diego, number 1 overall pick, back. I'm like, why are you cheering for him? Right. He's wearing the opposing uniform. When he retires and you want to love him, you can love him, but not while he's wearing the Dodger uniform. It's so hard though, because I love Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
I love Freddie Freeman.
Right.
I'm an Ohtani fan. Padre fans get mad at me because I don't hate the Dodgers enough.
Right.
And I find them to be a very likable group. Not to mention Dave Roberts is a native San Diegan. Dave Roberts did work and play for the Padres. And Dave Roberts has always had it out for the Padres because if you remember, when they fired their manager, Buddy Black, Dave Roberts was the bench coach and they never even gave him a sniff. And then the Dodgers went and hired him. And we've seen that Dave Roberts has now become a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, see, but you're breaking your own rule here, Scott. Dave's wearing the opposite uniform and you're talking nice about him.
It's funny because on the radio, they'll always be like, oh, you're just in Dave Roberts' pocket. Yes, I am. I am a Dave Roberts supporter and a Dave Roberts defender.
Yeah, I will say this in the rivalry, like I'm with you. It helps when the guys on the other team are like, I don't want to say easily hateable as in there's something like inherently wrong, but I remember the Dodgers Giants rivalries back in the day. It was like, man, Buster Posey, like I want to hate this guy. He seems like a nice guy. Bumgarner, very easy to hate. That was an easy one. But that's the beauty of this Padres team is it's like Tatis and Machado are like at the top of the list of villains. They're the ultimate heels. And if you're a Padres fan, those are your guys. But looking at this Dodgers group, it's like, Are you going to hate Clayton Kershaw and Freddie Freeman? Like, these are two of the nicest guys in the league.
Go deeper back, and you think about, I used to go to these games back in the day when Barry Bonds would show up.
Oh gosh.
And when Barry Bonds came into, back then, Qualcomm Stadium, I mean, and then Petco Park, the fans were relentless on Barry Bonds. He was a great villain. Not only was he the best home run hitter of the era, but he was kind of a jerk.
Totally.
And you look at the Padres and you go, hey, Manny Machado played for the Dodgers. We all know what happened when he played for the Dodgers, and that's why the Dodger fans don't like him. And Tatis is all flash, and he's had a lot of success against the Dodgers.
Totally.
And I mean, he's got like the longest home run ever hit at Dodger Stadium belongs to Tatis. So yes, they're easy villains. When I look at the Dodgers, I just wish I could hate Mookie Betts. I wish I could hate Freddie Freeman. I had a buddy of mine tell me this morning he's grown to hate Ohtani. And he's like, I don't like the way he smiles before he gets into the batter's box. Like, people are looking for reasons to not like Ohtani.
Yeah, Ohtani's too nice. He's too polite, apologizing when he fouls a ball towards somebody that, isn't on his team. So
I will say this. One of the guys on my podcast, John Browner is his name. He's called Ohtani Ophony for years. And I said, and it was because when he was with the Angels, for all the stats that he put up, the Angels were never good. I was like, but it's a team game. One guy can't control that. And then, of course, he's all over him about the whole Ipe gambling situation where he just will not let that go. And again, if you're the opposing fan base, of course you continue to harp on that.
Yeah, I'm sure he loves this Hawaii real estate deal that just happened and the lawsuit, right? That's just feeding to him.
Just adding fuel to the fire.
Okay, so you mentioned that there's some Padre fans that look at this 3-game set and say, hey, it's just 3 games. Like I said, there's 31 more after this one ends. But for you, this is a measuring stick. It's like you just got swept by this team. If you want to really go into the postseason believing that things are different, this is the series to kind of prove that. And so we talked pitching matchups. Like, do you think the Padres are going to be able to get 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 from the Dodgers at home?
I would be shocked if the Padres could sweep the Dodgers. I'd be surprised if the Padres won the series. And I would be expecting that for whatever reason, I actually look back to last year and I look back to the playoffs. And when the Padres had the Dodgers at Petco Park and they had that 2-1 lead, they had the chance in that moment to pull the knockout punch.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it. They didn't get it done. And then the controversy of Machado throwing the ball towards the dugout and Dave Roberts saying, I take great offense to that, and just the way Dave took the pressure off the team and kind of put it on himself and kind of put it back on Machado. All of everything that happened in the postseason last year leads me to believe that the Dodgers have the psychological edge in the series. So I actually thought last week, given that the Padres were playing their best ball and the Dodgers were playing their worst, I thought the Padres would win the series last week. I picked them to win 2 out of 3, and it turned out to be a disaster. So and last year I picked the Padres to win the series against the Dodgers, and I lost a bet. So I had to wear the Elton John glittery Dodger uniform in the radio studio. So I said, I'm done betting on the Padres, and now I'm done picking them to win.
Yeah. Do you have any confidence that this team, like the long-term, the season-long goals of making the World Series, that kind of thing, like, is it a Dodgers-specific problem? And if somehow the pathway can go around and avoid Los Angeles for one reason or another, that you believe in this team? Or do you think psychologically they're just not quite there yet?
That is a great question. And it's funny you ask, because I was looking at the Padres schedule the rest of the way. Because if you're going to say, well, this is just one series, and you really can't worry about this because the Padres and the Dodgers may not see each other in the postseason. I said, okay, well, then let's look at the rest of the schedule. The Padres still have to face the Mets, who are a good team, and they still got to face the Brewers for 3 games. Yeah. And so if the Padres could somehow avoid the Dodgers, well, then the question is, how do they perform against other playoff contending type teams? And I do think this, if they have to see the Dodgers, again, psychological edge, Dodgers. If they can completely avoid the Dodgers, I kind of think I'd put them up against anybody else.
Yeah. Look, on paper, I said all along, even when the Giants were kind of in the mix, I was like, the Padres are the team to be afraid of, because on paper, they have the team that is going to be able to play 162 games and go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers. The question for the Padres has never been talent. To me, it is entirely psychological. Like, are these guys able to, when the chips are all down, actually deliver the knockout punch and come through in the clutch? At times it has looked like the answer was going to be yes, but unfortunately for Padres fans and fortunately for Dodgers fans, over the last, 9 months, it has seemed to swing the other way. And so I'm with you. This series, I think, yes, it's only 3 games, and whichever team loses, like, we'll be saying, hey, it's just 3 games, no worries, moving on. But I do think for the Padres, because of what the Dodgers just did, it feels like it has added importance, and it's in Petco.
I
and
agree.
It's like everything seems to, other than pitching matchups, everything seems to be lining up for the Padres.
I completely agree. I think that if the Padres were able to win this series, Dodger fans would say, "Oh, it's just one series. Who cares? We just swept you guys." If the Dodgers win the series, Padre fans can say, "Well, it's only just another series. It doesn't matter. We've still got 30 games to go and we've got an easy schedule." Nonsense, because you've had to put yourself up against the world champions.
Yeah.
You've had to put yourself up against a team that routinely wins this division. And if you can't beat these guys now with the team that you've assembled, because again, remember, pre-All-Star break, every advantage goes to the Dodgers.
Totally.
Post-All-Star break, top to bottom, the Padres have the best roster they've ever had, at least in my 25 years of following the Padres.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, the Dodgers, I think, can look ahead and say, hey, I mean, I know Michael King is out, Jackson Merrill's out for the Padres, so there is some health stuff. But for the Dodgers, it's like the rotation's just getting back. Half of their bullpen is pitching for Oklahoma City at the moment, I think. And so it's going to be
by the way, and 2 other injuries that I pointed this out to Padre fans last week. Don't forget, the Dodgers swept the Padres, and yes, 2 games were 1-run games. No Max Muncy, and no Tommy Edman.
Yep.
So when those guys come back, those are important pieces to the Dodger puzzle.
Yeah, trust me. Dodger fans know, because today against the Rockies, Michael Conforto was batting cleanup. And so every Dodgers fan is currently well aware of what a mess the lineup is. That is Scott Kaplan. Scott, tell people where they can find you. Tell us about all the stuff you've got going on.
Well, I will just say to everybody who's watching, I hope you guys will, and hopefully you've heard about this by now, but if not, I'll tell you. Me and George Sedano, we're on from 3 to 6 in the afternoon on ESPN LA. We're moving our show on Tuesday, September 2nd. We're moving it to 7 a.m. in the morning till 10 a.m. in the morning. So we'll be on the radio from 7 a.m. to 9. And then from 9 to 10, we'll do a 1 hour YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook. We'll be on all the social platforms. Okay. So we're really going to bring people to all of our socials. So we're moving our show, but for now, 3 to 6 in the afternoon on ESPN LA.
Okay. I help out with the Blue Review like once a week. And so now I'm understanding why that calendar invite changed from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. Huh?
I told those guys, I go, 6:30?
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? They're like, well, we want to do it live in the morning and then we'll replay it after you guys get off the air. But yeah, those guys do a great job between Marcus and Greg and Parker. They do a great job, and they are passionate Dodger fans.
Totally. It's a fun group to be with. So that is Scott Kaplan again, ESPN LA, Kaplan and Crew, also cited. We've talked about before. They do some stuff on DodgerBlue.com. So Scott, thank you for the time. I'd say good luck this series, but on behalf of all Dodgers fans, I wish you no luck against the Dodgers this weekend.
And I will say right back to you.
Love it. I love it. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Again, this is DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com. If you're new, go ahead, subscribe, ring the notification bell down below. We'd love to have you join us. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. As always, go Dodgers.